And welcome to the Phoenix Suns Solar Panel podcast slash YouTube show. On this week's midweek, there is no Dave King, there is no Greg Esposito, but it is okay because we have a very special guest, Jeremy Gunderson, on the show with us today. You can find him on Twitter at the Jeremy_G. How's it going, man?
Pretty good. Good to be here. Thanks for having me.
So we're in the doldrums of the off season. You missing Suns basketball?
Yes, I'm really excited for games to actually start and not YouTube clips of people at an LA Fitness.
I know that you had to have been watching at least a little bit of the NBA TV replays of some of the older games, kind of gets you through.
Yeah, a little bit here and there.
So the reason why you're on the show today is that you have organized something that everyone here on the solar panel is a huge fan of, and it is a grassroots fan section at this upcoming season for the Phoenix Suns to give a real home court advantage to the Suns. Tell me about it. How did you think of this idea? How far along are you in this process? And why will this help the Suns this upcoming season?
So the idea started with a conversation with my brothers, probably several conversations that I had with my brothers, and similar to probably a lot of conversations between Suns fans, where we sort of lamented the last few seasons, how bad the team has been. And we had this conversation over and over where we were optimistic, and then by Thanksgiving, we had lost our optimism. So it eventually started rolling around to, is there really anything that we can do as Suns fans to help make the team better? And we certainly didn't have any sort of NBA ready skills, coach, GM player, obviously. And none of us had a couple $1 billion lying around to buy the team. So it came down to what can we do as fans to help make the atmosphere, the home court advantage better. And this sort of idea was born. We wanted to do, tossed around the idea of doing a supporter section like in soccer or a student section at a university, college sports. So we talked about it and threw it out on Twitter, and there was some pretty decent return from those tweets, a lot of interest. So that's sort of where it all started. We've had a couple meetings, conversations with the Suns on like logistics of ticketing and stuff. So we've got probably about 50 to 60 members of a group, smaller number of that who have actually bought tickets so far, but a good start to the group. And we're looking for more. So as many people as possible want to come out to Suns games and help make the atmosphere as great as possible and cheer and chant and boo and yell and jeer and anything else you could think of.
I would also think, just because the Suns are so aware that this is going to be the Suns supporter section, that there's going to be a lot of times that the camera is going to be cutting over to you guys. So the signs have to be immaculate.
Yeah. And so we've got an event coming up this week. We're going to talk about some of those things, get some ideas, solicit some ideas for what we want to do, what things we want to bring. But yeah, that's something that we're looking forward to, try and bring out some of the creativity in Suns fans.
Well, we're going to get into the specific details, exactly when you guys are meeting the Saturday, August 10th over at Talking Stick Arena, what you're going to talk about there, the fact that everyone is going to get treated to a Mercury game, which is really cool, on top of everything else. But before we do, I just kind of want to chat you up a little bit about the Suns. So Ryan McDonough, he's gone. James Jones has made his stamp on this team. There's been some positive reaction. I think mostly positive reaction. There's been a little bit of negative reaction. What has been your reaction to some of the moves he's made so far, from the coaching changes to some of the players he's brought in?
I mean, I think like a lot of people, my initial reaction to individual moves was a little bit of surprise. Consternation at some, but when you step back and look at what he's done as a whole, I feel really optimistic. bringing in veteran quality NBA players at every position, both in the starting lineup and on the bench, is certainly going to help this team actually win games next year. So I'm excited about it. My favorite transaction has to be the Ricky Rubio signing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know a lot of people really were looking forward to D'Angelo Russell and a Devin Booker backcourt. I'm perfectly fine with Ricky Rubio and really excited to see what he can do leading a team, and particularly for DeAndre Ayton.
One of the things that I think a lot of people didn't realize is how inefficient of a player D'Angelo Russell has been, even in the one great half of a season he had. And not that he's not a good player, he won't develop into a player, but when you're talking about a max 4-year contract to a guy that is incredibly inefficient, doesn't get to the line, has a really low true shooting percentage. He's not a high assist guy. He's not a great defender. It doesn't seem like a really great pairing with Devin Booker in the backcourt. But a lot of people just want whatever that shiny new object is. And I know that they were disappointed with that. Personally, even if the Suns aren't good, I'm just ecstatic that I get to watch 82 games of Ricky Rubio.
Yeah. Yeah. I've always sort of been a fan. I've watched a lot of Timberwolves or even Jazz the last little bit, but his YouTube highlights look great, and so it's going to be that creativity. I'm super excited about.
Best passer for sure since Steve Nash. So do you think that the Suns gave up too quickly on Josh Jackson?
I don't think so, and mostly just because of what they did, what they replaced him with, bringing in Kelly Oubre, Mikal Bridges, excellent rookie season, and having those two guys at the small forward spot, and just the ability to, increase the professionalism on the team was, good, I think. And I mean, there's certainly a chance that he turns into a good NBA player. And if he does, that's great. I'd be happy for him. It'd be great to see a player who struggles off the court, making mistakes and stop doing those. Certainly has happened in the past. So if he does, kudos to him. But I think I'm fine moving on with the players that we replaced him with.
Yeah, it's too bad. I was fairly high on Josh Jackson when they first brought him in.
Same.
Clearly he didn't pan out. I actually have a custom drawing, really well done drawing. I don't think you can see it in the background here, but of Josh Jackson that an artist in Phoenix made for a solar panel get together a couple of years ago, and now that seems a little bit outdated. But I'm gonna keep it on my wall. I don't care. So Vegas has the Suns hovering right below 30 wins. Depends on which sports book you're looking at. What do you think it would take for the Suns to defy odds this season and go for 500 and make the 8th seed?
I'm an optimist, so I think it's possible. The hard part is that the Suns are still in the West, and the West is really, really good, top to bottom. But when you look back, I was looking a few weeks ago at the Suns' schedule last year, and obviously the schedule hasn't been released yet. But I mean, there were so many games that even against the team last year seemed winnable to me. I think they went 0-8 or 0-2 against like 9 Eastern Conference teams last year.
Hmm.
Just as a baseline, with the new players, I think penciling in 9 additional games, just splitting those games, is easily not out of the question. So, I mean, that's 9 games right there. That's 28. That's about what the over/under is. And then just picking up one game from some of the other teams that they were swept by. I think OKC and Houston are some of those teams. OKC is certainly not going to be as good this year, I would assume. And then obviously the home court advantage is going to be a big impact this year, I'm predicting. So and that was something that was really interesting to me when so the Suns last year I think were like so they were 19 wins and I think they had 8 if I remember right road wins. The second worst team in the West was Dallas and they had 9 road wins. So the difference between the Suns 19 wins and Dallas was that Dallas ended up with a 24-17 home record for a team that was just above them in the standings. So really, I think if the Suns can pick up some of those games against Eastern Conference teams that I think they should be, especially splitting home and home, and then pick up some of those other games in the Western Conference against or at home, I think there's a legitimate shot to push for 500 next season.
Well, and at a certain point, we are talking about Devin Booker as a max player, contributing as a max player with actual NBA talent around him, and he should win some games.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And I hope that I mean his offensive prowess was on display night after night last year. I mean he's one of the
He was
most
just hurt.
yeah he was hurt and still one of the most efficient scorers in the NBA. So I think with some improved surroundings and Devin Booker picking it up on defense with a competent team around him, I think is going to make a big difference next year as well.
And I think Tyler Johnson coming off the bench is going to be nice.
Yeah, yeah, leading the second unit, having stability. Because I mean, when he came in after the trade last year in the starting lineup with that team, I mean, we all saw the difference it made of just stabilizing that unit and doing that for the second unit. I agree. I think that's going to make a big difference as well.
Yeah, night and day. So put on your predicting goggles. Who is going to be the most improved player for the Suns this upcoming season? And you cannot say Devin Booker.
I really, really hope it's DeAndre Ayton. I mean, I think he had a really, really underrated rookie year, overshadowed by the two guards, Luka and Trae Young. But if he comes in making big strides next year, particularly defensive wise, rim protection, and then just having some of the spoon feeding action from Ricky Rubio, I think we can have a big year from DeAndre Ayton.
And I think it's pretty, it's not talked about enough how much of an improvement he made on the defensive end towards the end of the regular season last year. And it was frankly a time in which a lot of people had stopped watching the Suns. So I think it didn't get nearly enough attention, but he made pretty big strides. And I think we all saw what we wanted to see out of him as far as marginal improvement from a big man in his rookie season. And there's no reason to think that can't continue. And hell, even if it doesn't continue, they can just bring Aaron Baines in off the bench.
Yeah, yeah, and I think that's what Bonnie Williams said specifically. Like if he's not doing it, then Aaron Baines is coming in. Teach him a lesson.
Which is good. The players need that. So before we get back into the reason why you're on this podcast, what player do you think the Suns fans are going to be screaming for more minutes for this upcoming season?
Ooh, more minutes. Maybe Cam Johnson. I mean, anytime, any first round draft pick, I think people usually want to see a lot of. But I think he has the potential to come in his limited minutes that he's going to see and just start training threes left and right. And I think if that happens, I think Suns fans are going to be clamoring for a lot more of that.
I'm hoping so. I'm going with Check Diallo on this one. I think his energy is. I think he's one of those guys where his per 36 numbers look great, but maybe if he actually played 36 minutes, those numbers wouldn't look so good.
Maybe some boat outlaw potential.
Okay, so let's talk about it. So this Saturday, August 10th, Suns fans that are interested in this meeting at the arena at the main pavilion, 5 o'clock. Do they need to let you know ahead of time? Like, what do they need to do?
So it'd be great if you could let us know so we get a head count of how many people are coming. We've got a Facebook link that you can find at the Soul Rebellion Facebook group. And you can find a link to that both on my Twitter bio at the Jeremy_G on Twitter, and also the Twitter account, The Soul Rebellion. That's Soul as in SOL, which is our newly voted name for the group. So excited about that. So you can sign up on Facebook, or you can just send a direct message to me or the Soul Rebellion account, letting me know your email address and your name, and that you're interested in coming. We'll get you on the list and send you an invite over from the Suns.
And if you're watching on YouTube right now, those links are in the show description below. If you are listening in the podcast, open up the show notes and the links right in there. So after the meeting, the Suns are providing a suite and tickets to the Mercury game.
Yep. Yeah. So we'll have the meeting at 5 o'clock. We'll meet at the main pavilion there at Talking Stick Resort Arena. Try and get there a few minutes early so we can start at 5. We'll go over plans for the group, some ticketing options from the Suns staff. You'll be able to meet up with someone if you're thinking of splitting the ticket package. You don't want to do a full 40 games, or don't want to even do a full half season. Find someone who will be there and just split that in half. They lost a home game to Mexico City, so the math is real simple this year. And then after that, we'll have some time to take a break, get some food, and then the Mercury game will start at 7. And the Suns are providing some tickets for that as well. So it should be a good night, fun night, talk some hoops, hang out, get to know some of the group and what we plan to do.
Well, I think it's really awesome, man. Huge supporter of what you guys are doing. I love the ambition to make something like this happen. A lot of people think about doing stuff like this, but they don't actually do it. So it says a lot about your character and you as a Suns fan. I always go out to Arizona for a Suns home and home. Usually that happens somewhere in the December timeframe. So I hope that when I do that, I can come up and meet everybody that is up there in the fan support section.
Absolutely. We'd love to have you. And
Awesome.
Espo and Dave, even though they didn't show up to this podcast.
Well, you know what? They can meet you guys anytime.
That's true.
I will let them know that. All right. So thank you so much again, Jeremy, for coming on the show. You can find Jeremy on Twitter at @thejeremy_G. We will be back this Saturday morning for a live episode. If you want to join us there, 7 o'clock Arizona time, right here on YouTube. You can get those questions in. We do a full mailbag at the end of every Saturday episode, and we will talk to you guys again next week.
Thanks.